It's Sunday, January 17th, 2020. We've got a lot of information to get into. We're going to talk about the housing crisis. We're going to get an update on that, the delinquent mortgages and rents. And no, there has not been a recovery. Also, we're going to talk about rising consumer prices and how the middle class and the paycheck-to-paycheck population, which is most of the U.S., is going to be seeing more difficult times ahead unless something drastic changes. And we're going to talk about more of these so-called solutions that are being discussed to try to fix this mess. And unfortunately, there are solutions that will not solve the overall problem. So we're going to try to talk about how we can best navigate this situation and navigate these waters. Let's go ahead and get started. Now first, before we get into it, please make sure that you are subscribed. Something's going on with the algorithms. Do not like the channel. Maybe there's some keywords that I triggered or something else that happened. But what I'm thinking is that the news that I discuss and trying to reveal the real situation with the economy and trying to read between the headlines and tell you what's really happening, it's not going to be as welcome in the new administration that's coming into DC versus in the old administration. All right, so again, please make sure you're subscribed. A lot of people have been saying that they've been unsubscribed. Headline here out of WISN: Eviction moratorium ends soon. Renters, landlords both need help. Experts say that if the federal government doesn't provide aid to both tenants and their landlords, there will be another national housing crisis. All right, now first of all, will the eviction moratorium end, or will they just keep going? And if they're just going to keep going, how long is this going to last? Like, we ask this question a lot because I want you to really think about this. Right? If we can just keep going forever, then why does anyone have to pay rents or mortgages ever again? And if we could just keep going without people paying the rents and mortgages, why didn't we just start this decades ago? Why are so many people stressed out, working paycheck to paycheck, debt slaves? Right? So if this was the solution, if moratoriums and cancel rent was the solution, why now? Why not just go ahead and have this as something permanent? No one has to pay for housing. It's all free. Right? You see what I'm getting at here? So I want you to think about what the solution is going to be and what the end game is here. And with everything that's happened so far, all of the new debt, I read somewhere that 1/4 of all the currency in existence was just created or printed since the recession began back in March of 2020, the shutdown recession. So even with all that new money printing, people are still in desperate and dire situations. People are just completely, so many people, millions of people are completely dependent on these programs, on the eviction moratoriums, on the handouts, foreclosure prevention programs, and such. And one of the biggest problems that we're seeing here is the population that was the most vulnerable were the people working in the service sector, generally not the best paying jobs. Right? So the biggest job losses went to the people that were already making the lowest wages. Right? The service sector, the restaurant people, the servers, the bartenders, you name it. Now some of them make really good money, absolutely, with a lot of tips and things like that. But compared to the cost of living overall, it's still usually not enough to pull people out of the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. So people make pretty good money in these occupations. I'm not saying that they're all bad paying, but when deflation isn't allowed, even pretty good money is not enough. You always have to earn more and more and more to keep up with inflation, and most people aren't doing that. Listen to a quick excerpt out of this news article here with an interview from someone in the service sector.
Trying to juggle 2 jobs to have enough hours, but places everywhere, hours are being cut. The service industry has been hit hard.
Even full-time work, he's catching up and was late on January rent.
The text message that I got from my landlord said, you had November and December with subsidized rent to get money together. That's awesome, but I was also down 3 weeks. I missed 3 weeks of work. My shifts were gone from work. I mean, be reasonable.
Zelensky isn't alone.
Okay, so to many, the solution sounds simple. Just cancel rent, right? No one has to pay rent. Well, what about the landlords and their mortgages, right? A lot of so-called investors took out mortgages to then buy rental properties to rent out and make a profit. Right? We talk about this quite a lot. So it's going to go all the way up. It's not as simple as cancel rent, even though some people think it's that simple, and there's people holding signs saying cancel rent. Okay, so then you have to go up to the landlords. Now the landlords don't have to pay their mortgage, moratoriums on the foreclosure of these homes. We see the same thing in the commercial property industry where a lot of businesses took out loans to buy commercial property, and now with the retail sector being very heavily affected. So you see where we're at here. The banks have to now forgive all these loans from investors and corporations that have these investment properties, and we're going to see a commercial and residential housing crisis unfold at the same time if they ever stop. I shouldn't say if, when this finally comes to an end, when all this assistance finally, enough is enough. Bankerandtradesman.com, commercial multifamily delinquencies up for a second month. So it sounds like they're going to have to turn a lot of these commercial properties into something else, maybe housing, right? Maybe a big empty strip mall is going to be turned into condominiums, right? And maybe that's what needs to be done. Maybe there needs to be a transition, and all these properties that were there for people to come in and swipe their credit cards and run up debt, with these businesses, maybe they need to be turned into housing. The hard part about that is it was the small guy, the middle class businessman, businesswoman, the small mom and pop shop, right? The middle class business owner that was most heavily affected here. And sadly, most of these businesses that went under are not going to be coming back. Right? Even if they ease back on the restrictions from all the sickness and illnesses, a lot of people are not going to be going out to spend their money like they used to. Right? Less people going into the office, less people going out to eat, more people working at home, more people just going to be eating at home. And I think people are going to be more budget conscious. Not everybody. People are still going to be wasting money like they always do, but I think a lot of people are going to be cutting back and being more careful as we go forward. And that really hurts the restaurant industry, of course. Inman.com, talking about residential real estate now. Serious delinquencies rising fast, core logic. 6.1% of mortgages in the United States were in some sort of delinquency. And this is a recent article. It just came out January 12th. And CoreLogic always is a few months behind on getting the data. But we see when we look even at October compared to midsummer, just a few months after these shutdowns began, that the situation has not improved. All right, where is the recovery? Why are there still so many delinquencies? And there's some areas that are talking about opening back up again. We have Cuomo up in New York talking about, okay, we're going to start reopening now. But it's going to be too late. A lot of these businesses are done, and it's going to be more people dependent on payouts. More people in the unemployment line, more people waiting for a check. I feel like that something huge is going to be happening very soon to this economy, to this system, and I think we better keep our heads up and stay aware of what could be happening. I wouldn't be going long in the markets right now. I know a lot of people are getting their stimulus checks. They're going in the markets. A lot of people jumping into cryptos just because saving really doesn't do much good in a inflationary environment. And sometimes things just happen for so long, people just accept that as the new norm. I mean, look at this bull market ever since after the 2008 financial crisis, 2009, 10. We're now into the 13th year, and we still haven't seen any real deflation or any real market corrections. Sure, there's been pullbacks here and there. There's always going to be pullbacks. But when you look at the cost of living, the rising prices, the markets, real estate, it's all an inflationary trend right now. And it's been going on again for so long, people accept that as the new normal, and it's causing people to be complacent. Well, I think something's going to be changing very soon, and deflation is going to have to come into play, and we're going to be seeing a whole new world and a whole new system emerge out of this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay well, stay safe, stay prepared. Bye for now. Peace.